Welcome back, everybody, to episode number 97 of the DanJohnUniversity.com podcast. Welcome back, and remember, if you want to get all the videos, just sign up for DanJohnUniversity.com or sponsor us over at Patreon under Coach Dan John. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the show today. Listen, our first question is one I'm getting more and more lately. First of all, thank you for all your great information. This is from Neil. And Neil, thank you for following along and sending a good question. I'm reading your book, Never Let Go, for the third time. Neil, we got to get to you to expand your reading. But thank you. It means a lot. It does. I appreciate that. I practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu 3 times a week and strength train twice a week. I've been thinking of incorporating the Litvinov workout for a few weeks. My questions are, would you recommend this? Yeah, sure. For those who miss it, I call them lift and sprints now. And it's when you take a hinge or a squat movement, and honestly, before the weight hits the ground, you sprint away. For American football players, rugby players, and probably jiu-jitsu, one of the things I recommend a lot of is, and you actually can do in 3 parts, but let's go through the first part. So you do a deadlift followed by a bear crawl. That is really a great combination. Like do a heavy deadlift for a set of 5, drop the weight and bear crawl away. And if it's an American football player, rugby player, I would add deadlift, bear crawl to a spot, and then leap up and sprint from there. I think that's pretty good. The standard ones are overhead squat followed by sprint, front squat followed by sprint. You can also do with sleds, front squat, overhead squat, a hinge variation that's appropriate outside, followed by a sled pull. Or, if you have hills nearby, you can always just do, at the bottom of the hill, do goblet squats followed by hill sprints. Those would be your basics, and I think that's a good combination of things. I think they're all pretty good. He then, of course, because this is pretty good, let's make it more complicated. Could I do trap bar deadlifts followed by sprints on an aerodyne? Well, you certainly could. I don't think it would be the same because it's the gear change that's important. For one thing, you got to get yourself out of the trap bar. And I know all you trap bar lovers out there, going to fight me on this. I'm not a big fan of trap bars. They have great value done correctly, and the problem is I never see them done correctly. But it's going to take you a while to go from the trap bar to get onto the aerodyne. So yeah, you can do anything you want. I just don't think it's going to work the way I want it to work. Why don't you just stick to the program and see if it goes? You're doing twice a week. You would probably want to use the lift and sprints as kind of a finisher of kinds. So do something as push, pull, hinge, squat. 2 days a week. Maybe even go to something even simpler, where maybe you do that program that Joran Svensson gave me years ago that ultimately morphed into 2 days a week where you bench press on both days, and then on one day you do a squat and the other one you do a hinge. And the hinge for us was the snatch, the clean, but for most people it'd be the deadlift. The reason you bench press twice a week is oddly, or incline or military, is that the press needs a little bit more repetitions, a little bit more of a rhythm, where you can deadlift once a week, I think, and be fine. So you could do that. You would do maybe military press followed by front squats, and then go out on the field and do this deadlift followed by bear crawl might be really good for you. The other day, the bench press, the press, whatever, followed by a snatch, a clean, or whatever, and then go and do the lift and sprints. It's a good question. Thank you. We got a question from Paul. You and others whom I respect seem to consider the snatch test to be one of the best tests you can do with the kettlebell. Yeah, with a kettlebell, it's a great test. Would you say the Secret Service snatch test, 24 kilos, 200 reps in 10 minutes, deserves consideration as the holy grail of kettlebell training? One time Pavel said that you should be able to do the snatch test and press the beast, the Secret Service snatch test, so the 100 reps, and press the beast in a half an hour period. I did that just because he said it was a good idea. And I still think, I mean, I tell you one thing. By the way, if you're like me, you press the beast and then just walk over and do the snatch test because uh, I'm not sure I could do anything after the 200 snatches. Um, at the Holy Grail, it's a really good test, and the problem with it, and most people find once you get the 200 reps, is you're not going to get a hell of a lot of value unless it's like a competition. And I understand that by going up from there. What transfers do you see from this test to sports everyday endeavors? Almost none. Having said that, though, the preparation is still general preparation, and sometimes general preparation is just by itself pretty good. Um, it's like we talk sometimes about garbage mileage, just getting out there and running on a beach for 5 miles for a football player. We'd all say, well, that doesn't carry over to American football, right? But it does something, and this would be in the same area. Sometimes doing something like the 200 snatches in 10 minutes, just kind of maybe it's just mental, or I'm sure there are adaptions, but it's a good thing. Is the RKC prep program on your website your recommendation to train for this? No. I mean, if it's something you want to do, Paul, I would have to recommend that I'd have to call Mike Brown and sit him down for a while if you want to do this. But I would recommend you follow. You'd have to cut back on the clean and press or something. Something would have to give, because I would be recommending 1 day a week you do. I mean, I would like you to build up to 3 sets of 200. Now, having said that, the sets would be a 10 kilo bell, an 8 kilo bell, a 16 kilo bell on the hard days. One set of 200 to 12. Just test that out. Half. I approach this as a track and field coach, where I see that the task, the task is pretty defined, the 10 minutes, and so we would chase that like we would chase a 400-meter time. Yeah, you could certainly do the RKC prep test, but just remember, you got to double those numbers, okay? And that's going to be tough. Thank you. Let's find it. And by the way, get back to me. I'm interested in how it's going to go. We got a question from Auntie, or Ante. I'm 27. I have hip surgery in 6 months. Labor repair. I'm sorry. I hope this gets to you in time. Do you have some tips on training before an operation so rehab would be easier? I don't know how much pain or what you're going through right now, but the best thing you can do is show up in the best condition you can. I actually look at this almost like a competition. I front loaded a whole bunch of sugar-free orange flavored Metamucil a few days before, so I make sure I showed up for the surgery with an empty body, because when they put you on those drugs, it stuffs you up. It gives you constipation. So, it might be a good idea to take care of that. I know that sounds rude, but when you get there, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you can get yourself into any kind of shape, maybe you have to use something like an Aerodyne, because that'll give you a chance to use your upper body more. Can you row fairly pain-free, indoor rowers? Try to find something to get your cardiovascular shape where in the really prime it up, and at the same time, I would spend a lot of time, pushing and pulling, and that's what I did too. I mean, I really worked on my push, my single kettlebell press like a maniac. When I taught the press at an RKC, I wasn't cleared to fly, and I flew, which was just not the best thought of my process. And I taught it on my press. I taught the press on crutches. My press was still really strong, and I think that helps. Remember, the body is one piece. The body's one piece. The body's one piece. The body's one piece. So if you're working, your upper body and getting strong, you're doing pull-ups, you're doing presses, whatever you can do. That's all the good stuff is flowing through your whole system. But find something you can do that doesn't hurt you. I mean, if you can walk, I couldn't walk. That was my issue. And by the way, as a reminder, gentle listener, I was born with a condition called pistol grip hips, and my doctor said it wasn't if I was going to get double hip replacement, it was when. It's a genetic issue in my family. A lot of us have it at very, very early in our lives. We have issues, and don't blame my lifting or anything. It's like the fact that I have beautiful blue eyes. It's just DNA. Hope that helps. So yeah, any cardio you can get in, and then upper body work to death. It's gonna be kind of a fun time for you. You're gonna, and I would suggest if you can, if you can lean out a few pounds, a few kilos here and there. It's just gonna make it so much easier in your rehab. Just little things like getting up and down stairs on the one leg. Good luck to you, and let me know how it goes. We have a question from Leo. Leo's my grandson's name. I'm 25 and currently doing easy strength for fat loss with a 20 kilo kettlebell. Okay, that's anytime you do easy strength with kettlebells, the load is always going to be a little light sometimes. But let's see what happens here. I am 90 kilograms, and in the past month, I've only lost 0.5 kilos. Yeah, well, here's the thing, Leo. I'm just tossing it out to you. If you're losing half a kilo a month, from my Americans, a pound a month, that's 12 pounds a year. And so I'm concerned you don't think that's good. But if you lose 12 pounds a year, 6 kilos a year, I think you're going to have a real good chance to keep it off. And that's the more important thing on fat loss. I eat like an adult, I don't drink, and you sleep well. Well, I'm just looking at this and saying, win, 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 win. Good for you. I'm wondering if I should measure food to see exactly how many calories I consume, because I don't know why I'm stuck at this weight for this long period. I've been 88 to 92 kilos for the past several years, and I'd like to be around 82 kilos and look leaner and feel better. Okay, I think that's great. I'm wondering if easy strength for fat loss just might not be the right tool for you. You didn't mention anything about fermented foods. You didn't mention anything about how long you walk or ruck. It could simply be, now the 20 kilo just might not be a big enough load for you to get the hit from the easy strength work. And then, so maybe in your case, now this is something I'm spitballing. I don't know if this is true, but so for us, those of us doing the Olympic lifting for fat loss, the Olympic lifts, they're pretty stressful, big impact. When the weather, you're international, I guess. So, I work out in 40 degrees Celsius weather and hotter. So it's when I'm snatching and clean and jerking in 40 degrees, my system gets hit pretty hard. Here's my thought for you, and just an idea, Leo, is since you're doing the easy strength with just a 20, and that's fine, maybe you need to up the intensity of your cardio after. So if you're rucking, you might have to go heavier than we would go. If you're heavy handsing, go heavier. If you're jogging, you have to toss some sprints in there. If you're bicycling, you have to put some hills. That might be a good solution. A couple things I'd like you to, if you're not doing fermented foods like kimchi or sauerkraut or whatever, look into that, because I think it really does make a difference with our fat loss clients. And the other thing, and we're just going to switch the template here a little more intensity into the second part of your workouts. Would you mind getting back to me on that? Because I think if you try that, I think this might be a real good idea. Thank you. Alejandro emails us, and he says, I'm 25 and I have a master's degree in kinesiology and soon in physiotherapy. I live in Croatia. Great throwers out your way, but I feel a little bit stuck here. Okay. I have trouble finding a mentor and even a place to volunteer. I'm in doubt about going to another country to work because starting a business here is very hard and people are very judgmental. Do you have any some life business advice for me? Well, oh boy, you're gonna have a lot of degrees, and I don't fully understand what you mean by judgmental. Well, for me, the best thing I've always done, and again, your mileage may vary, as we said, the cliche says, but I always focus on things I love to do. With strength training, coaching the discus, even American football, I like it so much I would do it for free. And now in a place in my life that I can do it for free, and I love doing it. If you're going to start a business and the idea of it excites you and bounces you out of bed in the morning, then do it, man. I'm a little confused, and I'd like you to follow up on this. You said I'm having trouble finding a mentor. That's true about everyone. There's an old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And even a place to volunteer. I have a hard time believing there's no place you can volunteer. We're always looking for help. Everybody. There's got to be a track and field team close to you. Track and field coaches always need help. And I tell you, every minute you're there, it's going to be a university study. I know that's not a hell of an answer, but I did my best. Good luck. Find what you're passionate about, and look into this idea of maybe volunteering. Even look a little harder volunteering. Thank you. We have a question from Dino, or Dino. Gyms have been slowly reopening in my country since early February, so I have finally returned to Olympic style weightlifting. Prior to that, much of my training revolved around double kettlebell work with two 24-kilo bells. I was wondering your thoughts on double kettlebell snatches. I hate them. I don't like them at all. I don't like coaching them. I don't like teaching them. I don't like doing them. I don't think they're safe. I don't like independent loads over my head. Even when we do loaded carries overhead, it's always two-hand. There's the waiter walk, but if it is two-handed, it's always on a set object, either a barbell or a sandbag. I just don't trust them. Does the movement offer the same benefit as the barbell power snatch? I thought so back in the early 2000s. I no longer think so. There is value to doing it, absolutely. But I think the barbell power snatch is one of the world's great exercises. The power snatch followed with the overhead squat. What we used to call the exercise is marvelous. Or should I just stick to a single arm kettlebell snatch with a heavier bell? Yeah, that's a good idea. He says here, also, do you see any carryover to the barbell snatch? I have not, but it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. With my personal experience, I didn't see a lot of carryover. I do think the one-arm kettlebell snatch is really good for Highland Games athletes and discus throwers, javelin throwers, shot putters, throwing athletes, even the jumping athletes. But as for the Olympic lifts, I think it'd be a great thing because you can get a lot of reps and get yourself, which has value, but I don't know if there's an actual carryover. Remember, with sports specificity, close isn't close enough. Okay, thank you. We have a question from Peter. And Peter says, what is your recommendation when it comes to logging workouts when it comes to loaded carries? Okay, the reason I found that question kind of interesting is that just the other day I was looking at my journals because I'm writing this thing for loaded carries for Easy Strength. I just want to get there. And what I do in my journal, now I know you kids and your computers and your fancy phones, but I would always, funny, I would make little drawings and I would draw in what I did. So it would be like back gate to bridge. And then I'd have these little arrows go around. And then I would draw the equipment I used. The reason I think that's really a good idea, and Peter, it makes me happy to get back to this memory, is I can look at these workouts literally 20 years ago now and know exactly what I'm doing. I can look exactly and say, oh, okay. There's the one that says broken wheelbarrow drag, which I had a wheelbarrow that broke, and I just stuffed some crap in it. Rocks, chunks of concrete, and it had a little piece of wood on the bottom that would dig in. We stuck a rope through it, and we put it around a weight belt. In fact, I still have the weight belt, and the weight belt, instead of being flat like this, it's like this from being pulled straight backwards. Good memories. And I can look at that workout and just kind of laugh out loud about you know, how cheap I am and the crap I use to do all this stuff. We'll continue. Would you log each exercise, sets, distance, weights, etc., and try to replicate the workout at some point to measure progress? You certainly can. The only time I actually measure loaded carries specifically, and this is it, is when we put body weight or close enough, you know, 225 or 100 kilos, you know, whatever, and the natural numbers, big plates on, you know, if you're using American plates, it'd be 45s and 25s, and then double 45s. Those are three good examples. That's all you'd need. You could go 60 kilos. Math's gonna be 60 kilos, 80 kilos, and 100 kilos on trap bars. That's the only time we actually measure, because what we're trying to do there is judge. This is an important point. I want you to hear it. I measure the trap bar farmer walk, not to measure you. It's to measure our programming. Your trap bar farmer walk with body weight probably should increase every time you do it. Life doesn't allow that, but it probably should increase every time. So if I have you doing 50 meters the first time, and then 6 weeks of my brilliant coaching, you do 100 meters, we can assume that the conditioning is working at some level. And that's actually a good insight. You know, if you do 50 meters, 6 weeks later you do 20 meters, or not doing a real good job, and nor are you. Or should one just get the work in? So yes, the bulk of the time, just get the work in, focus on numbers and progression for the other lifts where it maybe is easier to keep track of. Peter, exactly what I think you should do. That's it. Measure one of them. I like the trap bar, deadlift, farmer walk, and the rest of them kind of just go out there and have some fun. Good question. Thank you. We have a question from Michael. I'm looking for a program recommendation. I have just been asked if I would help to try to prep physically for a job to support a tactical team as an EMS medic. The A to B is clear and involves a 12-minute run for distance, a circuit of dips, pull-ups, and weighted lunges. Finally, max burpees in a 2 or 3 minute period. God, lunges and burpees. And running. Oh my God. Old man yells at clouds. My own guess would be something like the mountain climber program, with runs somehow interspersed or subbed in. I have no issue completing the circuit with accepted numbers, but the runs is my problem. There's a different meeting here. The runs is my problem. We have a program on the website at Dan John University called the Firefighter Prep Program. That might be something you want to look at. I like the idea of training to the test. So make sure you're doing dips, pull-ups, weighted lunges. A 12-minute run, I would say occasionally. 1 day a week, I would suggest you run 30 to 40 minutes straight. A couple days a week, I would go fast for 4, 6, 8 minutes and just practice, getting yourself so that you can crush that 12-meter run. And on the burpees, I would grease the groove on burpees. I'm not a big fan of them, but I would do burpees if you could, 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, and never go to your limit. Maybe set yourself 20 or 30 second. Well, that's not bad. Yeah, maybe 4 rounds of 20 to 30 seconds interspersed throughout the day. Because if you can add one, I don't know how many burpees you can do in 30 seconds, let's say 7. But if you practice and get yourself to 8, that's going to be great for your numbers. On your burpees, occasionally I would just, as a conditioning coach, I'd say set a timer, and it says here max burpees in a 2 or 3 minute period. Let's just say it's 2 minutes. So I would find out what my max would be for 4 minutes and 6 minutes. And the reason I would have you do those, double and triple the numbers, is just get used to doing burpees tired. Okay. Um, he's at a loss and would like your advice before I pull the trigger on a program. Okay, so the firefighter prep program, look at that. You may have to substitute a few exercises like the dip chin and lunge, but yeah, I think that's the program for you. Thank you. Hey, and let us know how it goes. Thank you. We have a question from Lewis. Hello, Lewis. My wife and I have been following your programming for some time, along with intermittent yoga as well. Intermittent yoga. That is a fascinating combination of words. She is approximately 1 month away from giving birth to our first child. Danny is a great name. And her training slowed down about 2 months ago in general. And we don't want to be pushing that hard. She is a physician, and she knows this already, OBGYN in particular. So she was wondering if you have a recommended program postpartum she can get started on soon after our child is born. This is also her professional knowledge as well, and she'd like to hear your take on it. Also, any tips for new parents and training in general with a new child would be appreciated. Yeah, good luck on all that. That baby runs the roost there for a while. You know, I got a friend, Sarah Smith, who specializes in pelvic floor. One thing I'd recommend, Lewis, is make sure your wife reads up on pelvic floor issues. I can't remember what that little squeeze is called, but there's that squeeze you kind of do to tighten things up. I would actually, if you can, talk to somebody who's kind of a little bit stronger in the area of breathing. The using the diaphragm. I'm doing as we're talking. I'm doing the Kegels, and then I'm using my diaphragm as I'm talking here. Really, this would be ideally a time where you just go to the workout generator, and I wouldn't necessarily follow a program. I would do like I do with Major League Baseball. You know, we set up a program. There's 6 weeks, so it's how do you say this? I wanted to say Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and that's the program. But in reality, that 6 days and 2 weeks might take a month because of the realities of the travel, the sun, the exhaustion of being a Major League Baseball player, not just on the field of play, but the lifestyle. You might want to do, and this would be my first bit of advice, get on the workout generator, Dan John University, blah, blah, blah. And maybe organize, I'm going to work out, type in, I'm going to work out 3 days a week, but be real. I mean, if baby has a bad night, you're not training that day. You're all of a sudden, what I would like you to think about is 3 days a week can be 6 days, it can be 12 days. That would be the number one thing. You want to push, you want to pull, you want to do loaded carries, hinge squat. I mean, the standard, the basics. I would be a little careful on flexibility and mobility, work with her for just a little bit. And then for her specifically, I would look into pelvic floor and some breathing work to help build up everything down there. I love babies. I got one upstairs right now, little Leo, but they do a fair amount of damage to women. And here's the thing. We all know that one woman, and I think we all, on paper, hate her. The one who has a baby and then, the following weekend is in a bikini and looking good. My daughter was in a bikini. Kelly was in a bikini, a month after her second child was born. And it was like, how did you do that? Other women, of course, have all flavor of issues. I'm doing my best here to help out. Maybe you can also ping me an email and just, first I'd like to know if the baby's okay and mom's okay. But run this advice past her, and then let's see where we can go from there. All right? Thank you. Wow, there you go. Episode number 97 in the books. Hard to believe. As always, I'm honored to answer your questions. I thought we had a real good mix this week, and that was nice. Not only a mix of questions, but a mix of peoples from all over the world, which makes me very proud in an odd way. Remember, if you like what we're doing, press like at the bottom, whatever you're supposed to do, and all that nonsense we do on YouTube. And if you want all the videos, danjohnuniversity.com, or sign up at Patreon at Coach Dan John. No matter what, though, I'm going to keep doing this for as long as I can. So thank you, and we'll talk again soon. Remember, if you have questions, though, send them to podcast@danjohnuniversity.com, and I'll do my best to answer all of them. Thank you.